Stop everything. Right now, in this moment, I need you to understand something that's going to change the entire trajectory of your life. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It isn't philosophy. It isn't something you need to think about and maybe try someday. This is the key that unlocks everything. And if you're hearing these words right now, it's because some part of you is ready to finally break free from the prison of doubt that's been holding you back your entire life. You know what doubt is? Doubt is a habit. That's all it is. It's not truth. It's not reality. It's not some permanent character flaw you were born with. Doubt is simply a mental habit you've been practicing for so long that it feels like it's part of who you are. But here's what I want you to hear. Any habit can be broken. Any pattern can be interrupted. Any story can be rewritten. And the fastest way to destroy doubt forever is to understand one simple law that changes everything, the law of assumption. Now, before your mind starts spinning with questions and objections, just stay with me. Because what I'm about to explain to you is so powerful, so transformative, that once you really get it, once you really feel it in your bones, doubt will no longer have a place to live inside of you. The law of assumption says this: whatever you assume to be true becomes true in your experience. Not might become true, not could become true if you're lucky, will become true, must become true. Because your assumptions create your reality. They are the invisible architecture that shapes everything you see, everything you experience, everything you attract into your life. Let me say that again, because it's that important. Your assumptions are creating your reality right now. Every assumption you hold about yourself, about other people, about what's possible for you, about how the world works, these assumptions are the lens through which you see everything. And here's the thing about lenses. They don't just show you reality, they create what you're able to see. So if you assume that life is hard, you will find evidence everywhere that life is hard. If you assume that people can't be trusted, you will attract untrustworthy people. If you assume that success is only for other people, you will constantly find yourself on the outside looking in. Not because that's how reality actually is, but because that's the reality your assumptions are creating. And here's where doubt comes in. Doubt is just an assumption. It's the assumption that what you desire isn't possible for you. It's the assumption that you're not capable, not worthy, not ready, not enough. And every time you entertain that doubt, every time you give it your attention and your energy, you're actually strengthening that assumption. You're making it more real. You're building more evidence for it. But what if you could flip that around? What if instead of assuming doubt, you assume certainty? What if instead of assuming limitation, you assume possibility? What if you could train yourself to assume that everything you desire is not only possible, but inevitable? This is the game changer. This is what destroys doubt forever. Because once you understand that your assumptions are creating your reality, you realize that you have a choice. You can choose what to assume. You can choose what to believe. You can choose the lens through which you see your life. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but Wayne, I can't just choose to believe something that isn't true. I can't just ignore reality. And I want to address that head on because this is where most people get stuck. They think that assumptions need to be based on current evidence. They think they need proof before they can believe. But that's backwards. That's the exact opposite of how creation works. You don't wait for evidence and then believe. You believe first, and then the evidence shows up. You assume first, and then reality conforms to that assumption. This is the law. This is how the universe works. This is what every spiritual teacher, every mystic, every enlightened being has been trying to tell us for thousands of years. Jesus said, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Not will receive it someday, have received it. Present tense, he was talking about the law of assumption. He was saying, assume it's already done. Assume it's already yours. Assume it's already real, and it will become real in your physical experience. Neville Goddard, one of the greatest teachers of this law, put it this way: assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't wait to feel good until after you get what you want. Feel good now. Feel successful now. Feel abundant now. Feel loved now. Feel worthy now. Assume those feelings. Live from that assumption. And watch how quickly your outer world rearranges itself to match your inner assumption. This is the fastest way to destroy doubt. Because doubt cannot exist in the same space as assumption. They're opposites. They're contradictory. When you're assuming something is true, you're not doubting it. And when you're doubting something, you're assuming it's not true or not possible. So the battle between doubt and certainty is really just a battle between competing assumptions. And here's the beautiful thing. You get to choose which assumption wins. You get to choose which one you feed with your attention, your energy, your emotional investment. You get to choose which one you live from. But let me be real with you. This isn't always easy, because you've been practicing doubt for a long time. You've been assuming limitation for years, maybe decades. You've built up neural pathways, emotional patterns, habitual ways of thinking that all support doubt. So when you first start practicing assumption, when you first start choosing certainty over doubt, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel fake. Your mind is going to resist. Your ego is going to scream at you that you're being delusional, that you're setting yourself up for disappointment, that you need to be realistic. And this is where most people give up. They try assumption for a day or a week, and when they don't see immediate results, when doubt creeps back in, they say, see, I knew it wouldn't work. I knew I was just fooling myself. And they go right back to their old assumptions, their old doubts, their old limitations. But I'm asking you not to do that. I'm asking you to stick with it, because here's what I know for certain. The law of assumption always works. Always. It's not sometimes. It's not only for special people. It's a law, like gravity. It's always in effect. It's always creating your reality based on what you're assuming to be true. The question is, are you assuming what you want to be true, or are you assuming what you fear to be true? Most people spend their entire lives assuming their fears into reality. They assume they're going to fail, so they do. They assume people are going to reject them, so they are. They assume they're not good enough, so they prove it to themselves over and over again. And then they look at their lives and say, see, this is just how things are. But no, this is just how things are based on what you've been assuming. So let's talk about how you actually practice this. How do you destroy doubt and replace it with assumption? How do you make this practical, tangible, something you can actually do starting right now? First, you have to catch yourself in the act of doubting. You have to become aware of the moment when doubt shows up. And doubt is sneaky. It doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as being realistic. Sometimes it shows up as protecting yourself from disappointment. Sometimes it shows up as just being logical. But underneath all of those disguises, it's still doubt. It's still the assumption that what you desire isn't going to happen. So you catch yourself. You notice the doubt. And instead of arguing with it, instead of trying to fight it or suppress it or pretend it's not there, you simply acknowledge it. Oh, there's doubt. There's that old assumption showing up again. And then, and this is crucial, you consciously choose a different assumption. You don't wait to feel certain before you choose the new assumption. You choose the assumption, and the certainty follows. You say to yourself, I am choosing to assume that what I desire is already done. I am choosing to assume that the universe is working in my favor. I am choosing to assume that I am worthy and capable and supported. And you say it even if you don't fully believe it yet. You say it especially if you don't fully believe it yet. Because here's what happens. When you consistently choose an assumption, when you practice it over and over, it starts to become your new default. It starts to feel more natural. It starts to feel more true. And as it becomes more true for you internally, it starts to show up as more true in your external reality. This is not positive thinking. This is not affirmations. This is deeper than that. This is about actually shifting the fundamental assumptions you hold about yourself and about life. It's about changing the operating system, not just installing a new app on top of the old one. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you want to manifest a new job, a better career, more money. The old assumption might be jobs are hard to find, the economy is bad, I don't have the right qualifications. Other people are more deserving. I always struggle with money. Those are all assumptions. They're not facts. They feel like facts because you've been assuming them for so long and you've built up a mountain of evidence to support them. But they're still just assumptions. So what's the new assumption? The assumption that destroys doubt? It might be something like, the perfect job is seeking me out. Opportunities flow to me easily. I am exactly what employers are looking for. Money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. I am financially abundant. Now, when you first say that, your ego is going to laugh. Your logical mind is going to list all the reasons why that's not true. Your past experiences are going to contradict it. And that's okay. That's normal. You're not trying to convince yourself. You're not trying to believe it on day one. You're simply choosing to assume it. You're choosing to act as if it's true. You're choosing to live from that assumption. And here's what's important. You don't just say it. You feel it. You embody it. You imagine what it would feel like if that assumption were already your reality. What would you feel if the perfect job was already yours? What would you feel if money was already flowing easily to you? How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you show up in the world? You assume that feeling. You live from that feeling. Not someday when it happens. Right now. Because remember, you don't wait for the evidence before you assume. You assume, and then the evidence shows up. Neville Goddard used to talk about living in the end. What does that mean? It means you live as if your desire is already fulfilled. You don't live in the waiting. You don't live in the hoping. You don't live in the doubting. You live in the assumption that it's already done. It's already yours. You're already that person. And from that place, from that assumption, you take action. You make decisions. You show up in your life. And something miraculous happens. Doors open, people show up, opportunities arise, circumstances align. Not because you forced them to, not because you manipulated anything, but because you changed your assumption and reality had no choice but to conform to that new assumption. This is the law. This is how it works. And the fastest way to destroy doubt forever is to stop giving doubt your energy. Stop rehearsing it. Stop feeding it. Stop living from it. And instead, every single time doubt shows up, you replace it with assumption. You choose certainty. You choose to live from the end. You choose to assume that what you desire is not only possible, but inevitable. Now, let me talk about something that trips people up. They think that if they assume something is true, they can just sit back and do nothing. They think assumption means passivity, but that's not how it works. Assumption leads to inspired action. When you truly assume something is done, you're not anxious about it. You're not desperate about it. You're not forcing it. But you are following the nudges. You are taking the steps that feel aligned. You are showing up as the person who already has what you desire. If you assume you're successful, you take actions that successful people take. If you assume you're abundant, you make decisions that abundant people make. If you assume you're worthy of love, you show up in relationships the way someone who knows they're worthy shows up. See how that works? The assumption changes your behavior, and your behavior reinforces the assumption. And the cycle continues until your outer reality matches your inner assumption. This is why doubt is so destructive. Because when you're doubting, you're taking actions or failing to take actions that confirm the doubt. You're showing up as someone who doesn't believe in themselves. You're making decisions from fear and scarcity. You're living small. And the universe says, okay, you want to be small? Here's more evidence that you're small. Not as punishment, just as reflection. The universe is a mirror. It reflects back to you what you're assuming to be true. So if you want to destroy doubt forever, you have to be vigilant. You have to catch it early. You have to interrupt the pattern before it takes root. And the way you do that is by having a default assumption that you return to again and again. My default assumption is this: I am a spiritual being connected to infinite intelligence. I am always guided. I am always supported. Everything is always working out for my highest good. That's what I assume. That's what I return to when doubt tries to creep in. And because I've practiced that assumption for years, it's become my reality. Not because I'm special, not because I'm lucky, but because I chose it. I assumed it. I lived from it. And reality conformed. You can do the same thing. You can choose your assumption right now. What do you want to be true? Who do you want to be? What do you want to experience? Choose it. Assume it. And then live from that assumption every single day until it becomes so real, so natural, so true that doubt doesn't even have a foothold anymore. Here's another crucial piece. You have to be patient with yourself. Destroying doubt forever doesn't mean you'll never have another doubtful thought. It means you'll recognize it faster, interrupt it faster, and choose differently faster. It means doubt no longer runs your life. It no longer makes your decisions. It no longer stops you from pursuing what you desire. Think of it like building a muscle. The first time you go to the gym, you're not going to lift the heaviest weight. You're going to start where you are and build gradually. Assumption is the same. You start with small assumptions, small wins, small evidence that the law works. And as you build confidence, as you see the results, you can assume bigger things. You can destroy bigger doubts. You can create more magnificent realities. But you have to start. You have to make the decision right now that you're done living from doubt. You're done assuming limitation. You're done playing small. You're done letting fear and insecurity make your decisions for you. Because here's the truth. Doubt is not protecting you. It's not keeping you safe. It's not being realistic. Doubt is stealing your life from you. It's robbing you of experiences, opportunities, relationships, success, joy, abundance, all because you assumed these things weren't possible for you. But they are. They always have been. You just didn't assume it. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you destroyed doubt forever? What would you do if you knew, truly knew, that you couldn't fail? What would you create if you assumed that everything you touch turns to gold? What would you pursue if you assumed that you're supported by the entire universe? Don't answer me. Answer yourself. Feel into that. Imagine it. And then make a decision right now that you're going to start living from that assumption. Not tomorrow, not after you figure everything out, not when you feel more confident. Right now, assume you are who you want to be. Assume you have what you want to have. Assume your life is what you want it to be. And then watch with wonder, with amazement, with gratitude, as your outer world rearranges itself to match your inner assumption. This is the law. This is the way. This is the game changer. And you have access to it right now, in this moment, simply by choosing to assume differently. I've lived this. I've taught this. I've watched thousands of people transform their lives through this one principle, not because I gave them something they didn't have, but because I helped them remember what they've always had the power to choose their assumptions, the power to create their reality, the power to destroy doubt and step into certainty. And now I'm passing that same understanding to you, not as information, as transmission, as truth, as something you can feel in your soul as real and possible and available to you right now. So take a breath, feel the power of this moment, and make the choice. Choose your assumption, choose certainty over doubt, choose possibility over limitation, choose to live from the end, choose to assume that everything you desire is not only possible, but done, already yours, already real. And then go live from that assumption. Let it guide you, let it shape you, let it transform you. Let it destroy every last bit of doubt until all that remains is unshakable certainty, unwavering faith, and the absolute knowing that you are a creator, that your assumptions create your reality, and that you have the power to assume anything you want into existence. This is your game changer. This is your key. This is your freedom. Now go use it. Good morning. Take a breath, a real deep breath. Fill your lungs completely. Hold it for just a moment. Now release it slowly, letting everything from yesterday go with it. The worries, the doubts, the disappointments. Let them all go, because this is a new day, a fresh start, a blank canvas waiting for you to paint your reality upon it. And today, right now, in this very moment, you're going to set the tone for everything that's coming. You're going to align yourself with abundance, with wealth, with success, not as distant possibilities, not as things you hope for someday, but as realities that are already making their way to you, already seeking you out, already on their way. Here's what I need you to understand this morning. Abundance is not something you have to chase. Wealth is not something you have to fight for. Success is not something you have to prove you're worthy of. These things are your natural state. They are the universe's natural state. Everything in existence is abundant. Look at nature. Billions of stars, trillions of grains of sand, infinite drops of water in the ocean. Abundance is the way of things. Scarcity is the illusion. And you are not separate from nature. You are not separate from the universe. You are an expression of it, which means abundance is your birthright. It's already yours. It's already flowing. The only question is, are you open to receive it? Are you aligned with it? Are you letting it in? That's what we're doing this morning. We're opening you up. We're aligning you. We're removing the blocks that have been keeping abundance at bay. And we're setting an intention so powerful, so clear, so vibrationally strong that the universe has no choice but to respond. So settle in, get comfortable, and for the next 20 minutes, give yourself this gift, this practice, this alignment. Because what you do in the morning sets the frequency for your entire day, and what you do consistently every morning shapes your entire life. Let's start with the fundamental truth. Your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner world, always, without exception. If you want to know what's going on inside of you, look at what's showing up around you. If you're experiencing scarcity, there's a belief in scarcity somewhere inside. If you're experiencing struggle, there's a belief that life has to be hard. If you're experiencing lack, there's a feeling of lack within you. But here's the beautiful thing. If your outer world reflects your inner world, then by changing your inner world, you change your outer world. It's not the other way around. You don't wait for money to show up before you feel abundant. You feel abundant first, and then money shows up. You don't wait for success to arrive before you feel successful. You feel successful first, and then success arrives. This is the law. This is how it works. And this morning, you're going to practice feeling abundant before you see the evidence. You're going to practice feeling wealthy before your bank account reflects it. You're going to practice feeling successful before the achievements are visible. Why? Because feeling is the secret. Feeling is what creates. Feeling is the language your subconscious mind understands. And your subconscious mind is the creative force within you. It's connected to infinite intelligence. It's always working, always creating, always manifesting. And it manifests whatever you consistently feel. So right now, I want you to ask yourself, what have I been feeling consistently? When I think about money, what do I feel? When I think about my career, what do I feel? When I think about my future, what do I feel? If you've been feeling worried, anxious, frustrated, or lacking, then that's what you've been creating more of. Not because you're doing something wrong, not because you're broken, but because you didn't understand the law. You didn't know that your feelings are creative, that your emotional state is a magnet, that what you feel consistently becomes what you experience repeatedly. But now you know. And knowing means you can change it. You can choose differently. You can feel differently. Starting right now, starting this morning. Take another deep breath. As you inhale, I want you to imagine breathing in abundance, breathing in prosperity, breathing in success. Imagine it as golden light entering your lungs, filling your body.